sunog, 18 taon na po ang lumipas matapos ang trahedyang tumupok sa Ozone Disco dito sa Quezon City, kung saan higit 106 na po ang namatay.
Sa Maynila, nanalasa naman ang isang buhawi kahapon. 2 napaulat na nasugatan habang maraming mga ari-arian ang nawasak.
Bandang alas 4 ng madaling araw, nag-landfall ang bagyong Yolanda sa Giwan, Eastern Samar. Pero hanggang Tacloban City, ramdam na ang hagupit ng malakas na hangin dala ng bagyo.
Isinailalim sa state of calamity ang buong lalawigan ng Cotabato dahil sa epekto ng El Nino at pamimeste ng mga daga sa mga taniman doon. Sa tala ng provincial agriculturist, nasa mahigit 230 million pesos na ang halaga ng napinsalang agrikultura.
July 16, 1990, niyanig ng magnitude 7.8 na lindol ang northern at central Luzon. Naitala ang epicenter nito sa Nueva Ecija. Halos 1 minuto lamang ang itinagal ng lindol, pero mistulang nilangon ng lupa ang maraming istruktura.
June 15, 1991, sumabog ang Mount Pinatubo sa Zambales. Itinuturing ito na isa sa pinakamapaminsalang pagsabog ng isang bulkan ngayong siglo. Aabot sa 850 tao ang namatay, halos 200 ang sugatan, mahigit 1 milyon ang apektado.
Mga kapuso, hindi lang po lampas tao, kundi halos lampas bubong ng buhos pa ang bahang idinulot ng maghapong ulan.
Disasters are inevitable. They are caused by unsustainable development that has not taken into account of possible hazard impacts in that location. Disasters know no race, ethnicity, or political boundaries. They may strike at any time or place. Aside from the casualties recorded caused by these disasters, our environment is also vulnerable, and no community can ever be completely safe from natural and man-made hazards. In this session, we will be talking about the introduction to disaster concepts, hazards, and risks. The learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, the learners will be able to describe a disaster, identify various elements that are exposed to specific hazards, and differentiate risk factors underlying disasters. Before we proceed to our discussion, let's try to answer the following questions. Disaster: a serious disruption of the functioning of a community or society, causing widespread human, material, economic, or environmental losses which exceed the ability of the affected community or society to cope using its own resources. Natural or man-made emergencies that cannot be handled by affected communities who experience severe danger and incur loss of lives and properties, causing disruption in its social structure and prevention of the fulfillment of all or some of the affected communities' essential functions. The damage of a disaster is all damage sustained by immovable assets and inventories of finished and semi-finished products, raw materials, other materials, and spare parts, whereas the indirect damage of a disaster is damage to the flows of goods that cease to be produced or the services that cease to be provided during a period of time beginning almost immediately after the disaster and possibly extending into the rehabilitation and reconstruction phase. Hazards: a potentially damaging physical event, phenomenon, and/or human activity that may cause the loss of life or injury, property damage, social and economic disruption, or environmental degradation. Any phenomenon that has the potential to cause disruption or damage to humans and their environment, or an event or occurrence that has the potential for causing injury to life, property, and environment. Hazards can be single, sequential, or combined in their origin and effects. Each hazard is characterized by its location, intensity, frequency, and probability. The types of hazards are geological hazards, hydrometeorological hazards, biological hazards, and human-induced hazards. For your first activity, determine what type of hazard. Classify them and write your answers on the table below. Geological hazards are natural earth processes or phenomena that include internal earth processes of tectonic origin as well as external processes such as mass movements. Hydrometeorological hazards are natural processes or phenomena of an atmospheric, hydrological, or oceanographic nature. Biological hazards are processes of organic origin, including exposure to pathogenic microorganisms, toxins, and bioactive substances. And human-induced hazards are threats having elements of human intent, negligence, error, and involving a failure of a system. Vulnerability is the condition determined by physical, social, economic, and environmental factors or processes which increase the susceptibility of the community to the impact of hazards. For your second activity, you're going to answer the home safety checklist form. Risk is the expected number of lives lost, persons injured, damage to property and disruption of economic activity due to natural phenomenon, and consequently the product of specific risk and elements at risk. Specific risk means the expected degree of loss due to a particular phenomenon, while elements at risk means the population, buildings, and civil engineering works, economic activities, public services, utilities, and infrastructure at risk in a given area. The equation means that risk is a function of the hazard and the level of vulnerability, and it is directly proportional to both of these factors. In order to prepare an accurate risk estimate, it is necessary to analyze both the hazard and the level of vulnerability. For your third activity, do the risk assessment matrix. Make sure you have a copy of this assessment form. Don't forget to take pictures, the same with the first and the second activities. Kindly upload those pictures together with the description in your group's webpage. The combination of hazards and risks in human, deaths, injuries, disability, physical, damage to buildings, equipment, and supplies, social, cultural, disruption and loss of friends, mentors, communities, and even cultural heritage, economic, cost of repair and replacement, cost to students and families of delayed or incomplete education, loss of livelihoods in education, environmental, loss of natural resources and habitats, psychosocial, lost continuities, hopes and dreams, and educational, disrupted or degraded services, quality outcomes. For the evaluation, you can use a short-sized bond paper and some coloring materials. Make a structural layout of your house. Identify and mark the potential hazards present or located in different areas of your house, such as fire hazards, electrical hazards, and others. You can have also, as an option, a layout of your community near your residence. You also identify and mark the potential hazards present in the different areas near you. As an enrichment activity, answer the Family Disaster Plan form. Make sure that you involve your family members in this activity. Just like the first, the second, the third activities, the evaluation form, and this enrichment activity, make sure you take some pictures and kindly upload those pictures together with the description in the webpage. It may be helpful to think of a disaster-resilient or disaster-resistant community as the safest possible community that we have the knowledge to design and build in a natural hazard context, minimizing its vulnerability by maximizing the application of disaster risk reduction measures. And we can start these things in school.